Good morning. My name's James Stanger, and I thought I'd just do some competency testing using my Ferday website. So this is the main QAP. This is at ferday.com. This is the main EQA program, but I've done some testing routines just for a bit of fun. This one is for testing software against the WHO standard for morphology. But this one, which I'm going to do today, is actually looking at a whole lot of images of oocytes and embryos and asking you to answer a specific question on some part of how that gamete or the oocyte or embryo would be scored. And you can compare yourself to how everyone in my EQA program over the years has graded some embryo. So let's just click on this. Once again, you have to document yourself that you're not a spider. So I ask you the fertilized pronuclear embryo, which is this one here, right? And I'll just make this a bit bigger so it makes a bit more sense. Okay, let's just come. So what we have here is a picture of a blastocyst, and there's a whole lot of questions which I ask to document some parts. So for blastocyst, I'll ask you about the inner cell mass, trophectoderm, development, etc. Then I create a grade. And what I've done here is taken one question, and the question is, describe the appearance of the trophectoderm around here. And then you're asked, this is using Gardner scale, is there many cells forming cohesive epithelium, a few cells that's very poor, no trophectoderm abnormal, and I think the answer would be this one here. That's what I would say. So you click on that, and the answer you can see is that I agree with everybody else. So there's been about 1,000 replies to this image here, and you can see that 716 have agreed with me saying it's poor. 70 have said it was normal, which is a worry, but quite a few have said that's grade B. So I would have said this was like what's clearly is abnormal. It's a 4cc, right? But you can see how there's a diversity in response. So let's just do another quiz. Here's an oocyte, and the question is, would you freeze this oocyte? Assuming there were adequate numbers of oocytes, so you can make a choice. And the answer is, would you freeze it or not? It's good zone of pellicity, two polar bodies, but there's huge degenerative mass and things. So I would not freeze it. And in this case, there's been about 200 people that have answered the question, and majority said they would freeze it. Now the answer, so I have to take this aside here and say, these replies inside my QAP program, you can answer these questions as a professional. So you're labeled as grade 3. That is, you would normally be doing this in your everyday routine, but you could also do it as a trainee, grades 1 and 2. And so I've deleted all. I don't include all the replies that are just trainees. So in reality, about 2/3 of the scientists using my program, and about half of them are Australian and half are from overseas, they said they'd freeze that. And of course, everyone will look at this and say, God, I wouldn't freeze that. I would never freeze that. But in reality, in this random testing of these images, every month there's a new one. All these people just log on to do it. All these people, you don't know whether they would actually freeze it or not. It's just an answer to a question, right? But I'm still worried that 2/3 of people would freeze this oocyte. Let's do another one. So here's a challenge. There's 4 embryos. Which embryo would you rank 4th? A, B, C, or D? And so this is a 2-cell embryo, day 2 embryo. And I would have to say that of this, I'm tempted to look at D because it's already starting to divide. But in fact, the 4th one, I'll probably say because it's going a bit fast. So I would rank that 4th. And the answer is that a majority of people would agree with me. So some people have said 6 out of about 140, 150, 6 said A. So that's the worst one. 22 said that was the worst one. 37 said C was the, but 83% agree with me and said this is the worst one. Let's just do another one. So in this zygote, that's the question, the prenucleus on the left. How many nuclei are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would say this one. And nearly everyone agrees with me. Thank God for that. So let's just do another question. I'll do 10 questions. So this is a image of an oocyte, and the question is: are there any inclusions, cytoplasmic inclusions in the? Sorry, it's a zygote. I apologise. And the answer is there are no inclusions in the cytoplasm. Minor inclusions are significant, and to me, the answer is. You just have to sit and I'm wasting a lot of YouTube video time. I will actually say that there's no inclusions in that. And in fact, of the 300 odd people that answered that question, not everyone agreed that there's no inclusions. Let's just do another one. Which would you freeze embryo C? This one here. So clearly I think it must be a day 2 4-cell stage. Would you freeze it? Yes, I would freeze C. And the majority of people would freeze it, but 3 said they discard it. I don't know. And 11 would decide to wait one more day. So which embryo would you rank first? A, B, C, or D? Now this is a more interesting question. So once again, they're static images, and I think it's a fairly arbitrary one. You would look at the I don't think it would be D, but my guess is, my inclination would be, there's a few fragments in here. There's no fragments there. There's no fragment, but I think I would probably choose A. So I've been doing embryology for 50 years, and I have to say that 50 years doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Majority, so not a lot of people have answered that. It's about 120 or so. The majority of people would rank this one first because obviously they think it's starting to divide again. But A was the second most popular one. Now you might like to discuss that with your staff and run this video and ask people to make a decision. And it'd be interesting to see what you can say. As a staff exercise, you could run this YouTube video and stop it at each time before I give you the answer and just see what your staff would do. It's a bit of fun. Let's do number 8. This is so we have to wait. Unfortunately, I probably shouldn't have. I can't help this. Just randomly pulls this out. Would you freeze embryo C? And it's a little bit dark. I should have made this a bit lighter. B. So would you freeze? What you freeze? What? Incidentally, yes, I would freeze this one. Right, but partially hatching blastocysts on day 5 by current standard are the ones which give you the highest pregnancy rate. And of the 70 odd people who did, most people would freeze it. Let's do another 2 more. So would describe the inner cell mass on this hatching blastocyst. And of course, it's almost impossible to do that. But I would say this is the inner cell mass up here, but it's fairly poorly defined. Once again, run this video with your staff and see what they think. I would say I would grade it as this. And the majority of people said it had very few cells. I was umming and ahhing about this one, but the majority of people said it had very few cells. And the last one, count the number of nuclei in each. You're comparing the number of nuclei in each. So one of the original gradings for grading zygotes is how uniform the number of nuclei they are in each pronucleus. In this case, I can see it's 3 and 4. So I would say that one. Okay, no one's answered that question. I think we better do another one. Which embryo would you rank second, A, B, or C? So everyone knows what a really good blastocyst look like, but its grading poor ones can often be the difference. So these ones have been deliberately chosen to be abnormal blastocysts. And I think ranking them a second or third, this would be the pick. So I would say number 2. And the majority of people, the 67 people that have scored this, nearly everyone agreed that B was the second. Okay, I'm going to stop this because this is just a bit of fun. But the idea of the video was to run real life embryos and look at real life scoring in a dynamic sense. But with the way I've done the video is that you can take your staff out, you can ask them to do it, and you stop the video before I give you the results and ask everyone looking at the screen to all make a notation what they would do. And you'll probably find it's a bit of fun. Everyone will disagree with everyone else, but hopefully if you have an active embryology group, there will be discussion. And I think if that, I'll be happy. And at a point, I think I'll just call it quits at this one, and we'll come back and do some more a bit later. Thank you for your time.